Is your organization running on a Franken-stack? That unmanaged tech stack that is layers of disconnected software tools piled on top of each other. In the race to add more technology as companies scale, managing tech stacks doesn't look like a priority. And yet, vital customer data that kills net margins can get dropped between marketing attribution and CMR logs. I'm Jane Singer, and welcome back to A Seat at the Table, where we discuss what's working, what's not, and how to stand out and win in a competitive market. Today we're joined by Laura Farkas. She's the founder of LMNts Marketing, which provides revenue system optimization, funnels, and automation. She's a specialist in building inbound distribution networks that clients can control. On this episode of A Seat at the Table, we'll be discussing why is your connection count on LinkedIn completely irrelevant to your actual inbound revenue? What is a Franken-stack, and how does it drain operating margins from a mid-sized company? Why are traditional marketing, retainers, and basic lead generation agencies failing? And how can a business owner use intentional human imperfection to defeat automated software noise? We have so much to unpack here, so let's sit down with Laura and learn how we can wrestle that monstrous tech stack into a lean, mean sales machine. Laura, thank you so much for joining me here on A Seat at the Table. I am really excited to dive into this topic with you because, first of all, I'm interested in all things technology, and to be able to discuss with you this sales automation and really unpack what's working, what's not working, what's the hype that people need to be aware of, what are the levers they can be pulling. I think that's really, really important. So thank you for being with us.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Now, you mentioned here, and I think this is going to really resonate with a lot of people who are listening to this. You talk about how your LinkedIn connection count, right, is irrelevant to your actual inbound sales revenue. I think that could be a podcast in itself, but we'll just keep it to one question.
Yeah, that is something I've researched in the past couple of months with the new algorithm. The 360 is brutal on people who went for something I call the vanity metrics. So
Mm,
I've got this many followers, and they saw the reach drop completely. And And they were trying every single type of thing. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the bikini photos, because I have seen a couple of them,
wow.
unfortunately, Jane. And then followed by an AI prompt and paste kind of thought leadership fake post. And they saw that it's going down. So I was researching the entire thing. I did a webinar about it a couple of weeks ago, and I sent out the recording to educate people that you don't actually have to go in big, because if you are in the consulting business, for example, like me, I don't really want to work with more than three or five implementation clients a quota, because I physically can't give them everything.
Right.
So, so you, instead of, it's the shotgun and the rifle method. So which one would you use? Would you use a shotgun or a rifle? I know which one I would use. So I checked the average profile view. Uh, so there's a quota between the profile view and the post impressions.
Mm,
And it's average about 3 to 4%. If you're really good, you can achieve 5. Mine is consistently over 10%. So whatever I'm putting out there is actually resonating with the right people. So I'm not just throwing generic things out there, but it is actually people are visiting my profile, people are connecting with me, and people want to see more of me. But when you're just like doing the fake vulnerability post, that's my least favorite one. Or you're tricking people with it's with a heavy heart, and then you just flip it around
yeah.
completely. so fake, even a 5-year-old is going to see that. So if you're not giving value to your audience and you don't have your ICP nailed down, those numbers don't matter. It absolutely does not matter at all. The same thing I talked about on the webinar. I'm in marketing and I'm in funnels and I'm in automation and I'm in revenue systems. If I started to talk about politics or accounting or economy, it's because that's a topic, even though LinkedIn's going to tell you that all these are the most important updates and you should comment on it. But it's not my niche.
Mm.
It's not where my ideal clients are. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stick with my expertise where I can deliver value. So that's basically why I might only have 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 profile views, post views, but my profile views will be much higher than an average person's because I'm not going mainstream basically, just what people want to hear because it bores them. It would bore me as well.
Yeah, yeah, I totally hear what you're saying, and it's interesting. I find that the lower the value the post that I put up there, the more views you get. You know what I mean? Some silly thing that shows, me. Of course, being at an event and thanking the people for including me, which doesn't really provide a lot of value for anybody, but people all rally around that. And then you put something that, like you said, is more serious and more meaningful, and you get very, very few views on that.
Exactly.
But I think, as you're pointing out, and this is really, I think, the key thing, is that it's not about getting all those vanity metrics. And yet everybody wants to optimize, right? For views, for likes, when in fact it's meaningless unless it's someone who might actually do business with you at some point. Otherwise, yeah, you can always get, as you're saying, a lot of interaction when you rage bait people, right? You put
Yeah,
up something that,
yeah.
some tragedy that happened, or, some personal event or whatever. And yeah, people are people. They'll give you a like, oh, congrats, your son just graduated college. But who really cares ultimately in terms of, getting
Yeah.
any more business for you? But it's nice that someone says congratulations. And, certainly there's always more than a few people who will engage in a good old debate over whatever is angering them. So you put those kind of posts up there, right?
Yeah, sometimes you can't help that. I mean, I sometimes engage in things, but I also try to add value, but you sometimes can't just sit there and say nothing.
Yeah. So you're right. You have to really think about, as you're pointing out, are you really looking for attention? Or are you looking to, in a sense, as you're saying, grow your authority to connect with the few people who potentially may work with you, as opposed to masses of people who just know you, or barely know you? It's really, yeah, you do see it's almost an exercise in futility.
Yeah, it is like I have made a post about it, and actually my partner was like, "Why are you putting that out there? Are you sure you want to put it out there?" So I put out a post about activity theater because that's what LinkedIn is at the moment.
Yes.
So when everyone's wearing all the hats, I'm this expert, I'm that expert, I'm that expert, and they just like put it out there, and it's making them feel like a busy fool to start with.
Yes.
Anyway, because they are just everywhere and
Mm.
it looks desperate.
Yeah.
It does look desperate. Sorry to say that.
Yeah, that too. That too. I mean, it is what it is, but you're right. That is not really a strategy for actually generating sales or even solid leads. You need to be doing something, a bit different outside of social media. Um, you talk about now a Franken-stack. I really love the way you framed that. And you're right. Technology has a way of sort of sprawling and crawling, right? Like an old building where they keep adding on new wings and additions, and none of it matches any of it. Um, can you explain a little bit what you're seeing around that, and as you say, how it's draining operating margins?
Yeah, the Frankenstein monster is something I love killing. So it's like I might one day code a program that's where you can actually slay the Frankenstein. It's coming from my book, so it's in the pattern of the marketing and working with SaaS companies, especially. I have noticed that they just jump on board for the latest plugin, the latest software, the latest, and they just bolt on, bolt on, bolt on. So their monthly subscriptions probably about 5 to 10 grand,
Mm,
but they forget to connect those doors.
wow.
So they create a Franken-stack. So they've got all that data, but they are not talking to each other. So they've got
Uh,
this agent, that agent, they've got an automation tool, they've got a LinkedIn outreach tool, they've got an email marketing tool, and there's no feedback into the system to make the
oh,
system better. And it happens, I would say, 95% of the time because they look at these new tools as, oh, that's an easy button. Someone told me that if I press that button, it's going to happen. It's not.
oh, wow.
So
Yeah.
that's basically, I don't know if you've seen it, Jane, before when people when because I spent about 15 to 20 years taking apart people's funnels or building their
Mm,
funnels. And sometimes I've seen some really bad, like basic things when the contact form's not working on the website. Like literally someone paid 15 grand for the website
mm.
and the contact form's not feeding
Oh,
or
wow.
the booking pages aren't working, or just simply like there's no follow-up whatsoever after somebody books, or
Mm,
there's no feedback gathering, which is like in service-based business, that's your bread and butter. That's how you actually improve
right.
and build your reputation, which should be a part of your marketing strategy and your PR strategy. So it should all be connected, but most of the time it isn't.
Wow, that's incredible. Incredible. I mean, it's really, you assume that everybody else has all that right, but as you're pointing out, people just layer on more and more software, not thinking about whether or not there's any data integration in terms of how that data is coming in and flowing through every point of capture and analyzing it and understanding what's the next step now that we've captured that data.
Exactly. And there's so much capability out there and AI could do it, but the problem is loads of the roles in my area, they are generalized. So they can press three buttons to set up, for example, a score app, but they have no idea how to connect it to Active Campaign or how to
Mm,
connect it to the CRM or how to actually feed it back to the sales team.
wow. Yeah, it's really amazing, but I think, as you pointed out, people have been in such a hurry to layer on every piece of new technology that comes out. Some of it they haven't really thought about if it's the right technology. Other times there hasn't been anybody saying, "Oh, but how do we connect this to what we're doing?" It's just install it and go. And in the end, you end up with, like you said, this unwieldy monster that you paid a lot of money for and isn't actually doing anything for you, maybe even hurting the business.
It is probably hurting the business because it's confusing the seat level about what's going on because it's just feeding like information that's not verified. It's not actually checked by
Yeah.
all the systems. So they are giving them the wrong guesses basically.
Yeah, yeah, exactly right. You're actually paying to get wrong information. Now, you mentioned that traditional marketing retainers and basic lead generation agencies are failing. What do you see happening around that and why?
Oh, that's an interesting topic because I actually predicted that back in 2024 on LinkedIn.
Oh, okay.
The agencies are going to struggle, and a couple of months later, uh, I heard the news in Liverpool where I am. There were like three major agencies closing in 3 months, so it was real. And I said, I don't like being right. But the main reason being is because, first of all, agencies didn't give companies the value they deserved most of the time. So
Mm,
they didn't actually nurture that relationship unless the client paid enough. So there is a very bad reputation in the marketing industry. And I have seen it because I have taken over a lot of accounts from other agencies and I have seen what happened in there. So that was one of them was like the client communication. And when they jumped on board of AI, they just thought, okay, automate that. But they didn't actually listen to the client, saying, for example, if I work with a client, I say, which products do you want to push this quarter?
mm,
They forgot to ask that simple question.
uh,
Or what would you like to sell more? Or have you changed your strategy? Or what's your growth plan for the next quarter? They forgot that.
oh,
So
wow.
clients felt like, oh, they let go of my hand. I can't actually see what they are doing for 5 grand a month because they send me a big 50 pages PDF. I don't understand the word of it because they don't. So I don't really know what's going on, and I'm not getting the calls or I'm not getting the bookings. So I'd rather speak to ChatGPT or Gemini and figure it out myself. And that's what I think has happened, that they took control back because there's a very low trust in the industry, unfortunately. I got out of the marketing agency trap before that, thankfully, but it was an accident. It was because I went blind, so I couldn't hustle anymore. But that's a different story. But yeah, so it's the twofold. So it's one of them, business owners are actually proactive, figuring out what they can actually automate, and the second one is the lack of communication from the
Mm,
agencies, the lack of customization. I'm all for productizing your offers, but if you're treating each customer as the same one, same template, it's never going to feel like they are being treated as a person or a unique business. And that's why I didn't want to grow my business beyond what I grew my business, because then you lose
mm.
that personal touch completely.
Yeah, I hear you. And I think that the temptation over the years as people have focused on scaling is to say, well, the only way to scale, right, is to template things because every customization holds you back. But it's gotten to the point, as you're saying, where nobody is really getting the service they need because all they're getting is shoved into a template. And in a very noisy and crowded market, the very worst thing you can do is look like everybody else. So it's sort of
Exactly.
ironic because AI has burst onto the scene and we all enjoy working with it, me too. Um, and yet, you have to really think about the fact that what it's giving you is the same as what everybody else is getting because it's trained on the same model and it's not being enhanced by human ingenuity, so to speak. So, for certain things, it works really, really well. But for other things, we're getting even it's only been a short time, right, since it's been in out in the public, and yet things have become very homogenized, so to speak. And people can spot it right away. It's really interesting, right? You go
So
on YouTube
I
and
can, yeah.
right, immediately people will call that out in the comments section on anything. They can spot the most, the teeniest detail. And you're right, in marketing, where you need to differentiate, you can't be shoving all your clients through a model, whether it's AI driven or not. You have to be working on that other side of things. So yeah, very interesting point that you bring that up. It's a major concern, I think.
I think it is, and from what I can see, clients actually. Well, I'm not going to tell you catchphrases, but they do actually care how you treat them or how you
Yeah.
listen to them. And that's why they'd rather go to ChatGPT for
Yeah.
strategy because some of the stories I heard, like I had a client who said, "Oh, I need something updated on my website," but this agency said that on my retainer they only do it on the 17th, and it's the 20th now. And can you do it? I pay you extra. So that's how templated the packages are. So they have zero movement in the packages, or other clients say to me, "Oh yeah, I called them 3 times and they always said that the account manager is going to get back to me, and they never did."
Mm,
I mean, if a client calls us, everyone knows where the process is because it's on the project management system. So they look on it, saying, "Okay, this is what's happening. We need you to approve that piece of content, and then it will be scheduled for next Monday." But yeah, so it's like the 80s type of agency model is not going to survive in
mm.
2026. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, it's really interesting because the one thing that people want more than anything nowadays um, is to be recognized as an individual, whether it's on a consumer basis or on a business basis. People want more of that high touch, right? Someone who really cares about them, who listens to them. People want to be heard, they want to be listened to. And yet, companies are moving further away from that, right? By trying to put in any kind of automation in between themselves and a customer, because that usually is considered to be, the least desirable part of your business is having to deal with customers. Companies just really don't like that. They find it, and it's a cost, it's a challenge, but it's the one area where you can actually stand out from your competitors is
Exactly.
building, right, that relationship. And it's interesting to note, as you're saying, that the customer is sort of stonewalling, the company is stonewalling their customers, right? They don't want to deal with them. They're not getting that feedback. And yet when you go on to ChatGPT or any of the other ones, whoa, they're so nice to you, right? Even though we know it's all faked. But still, it's like, "Oh, Jane, tell me about this." Okay, and here's more questions. And oh, great idea. And it gives you, of course, it's all, like I say, faked, but still, you're getting what you used to be able to get from a good, client customer relationship. But now they don't want to do that. And they're pushing, in a sense, businesses, ironically, are pushing their customers, right, to AI, right?
They are, absolutely. I mean, I'm not saying that customers, clients shouldn't be using AI. I mean,
Right.
we encourage them on both of the businesses. We encourage our clients, teach them, in fact, how to actually, if they need to craft a post, we teach them. But that's a complete different story because they can actually bounce ideas off us. And they do remember the night out in Liverpool when they came to visit, or they do remember because they did actually come to visit us because they just want it. It's not because I think human interaction, and I think you're going to agree with this, Jane, since COVID and since ChatGPT, the value of human interaction has gone up massively. So if there was a stock market for
Mm.
it and I bought some shares before COVID, I would be a billionaire by now because that's the trend I can see right now.
I totally agree. I think that people massively underestimate that, and every time I'm on the line with a company and they ask me to complete a survey afterwards and ask, how the service was. Sometimes it's a personal interaction, sometimes it's an email correspondence with someone, and I'll always get back and tell them. And if any of the people who are running those operations are listening to this, yeah, I'm the one who leaves you those messages that tells you that I know it's expensive to have real people handling these things, but that's why I'm your customer and have remained your customer. It's a game changer. And yes, I do pay a bit more for your service, but I do it because I get human support when I need it, which isn't all the time, but once in a while, when there's something, you want to talk to a person, and a person who can help you sort things out quickly, and let's just get this organized and back on track. And yet the thinking, as you're saying, is how do we get rid of that, right? How do we make that less of a priority? Because every company looks at customer service as something that nobody wants to touch, right?
Yeah, and to be honest, it's again generalization. So most account managers, because in the UK, the national minimum wage has gone up, the national insurance has gone up, the
Right.
cost of employing people has gone up massively. So obviously, it's a generalization problem as well. The only place I put automation in my funnel is the top to qualify.
Mm.
That's the only way I utilize that automation in the beginning, because if they don't match my ICP, I don't want to spend time and take time out of client accounts talking to them. I'd rather just refer them to a document, a free download or something like that. So, but once you're talking to a client,
Mm.
you are talking to a client with real problems, and you've got to figure out what keeps them up at night and how can you help them with that.
Yeah, exactly. You have to be willing to do the discovery, to talk to them. That's the value, a big part of the value that you bring as a service provider, right? Is to be able to interact with people, to brainstorm, to understand, okay, what's the real problem? Tell me more, and then let me think and interpret what you're saying and understand, as opposed to just saying, here's one of three things that we can push your your problem through. It's going to either be A, B, or C.
Yeah, but most of the time they don't even ask. So they just like put them in, okay, this is what we think the client wants. No,
Mm,
you've got to ask what the client wants and where
yeah.
they want to go. And that's the reason I've got a WhatsApp for each of our clients. So they are on WhatsApp. So if they've got an idea, they can run it past me. And when I've got time, I'm going to get back to them. Or for example, with this war, one of our clients exposed to the Middle East. So he
Mm,
calls me saying, "Oh, what are we going to do?" I said, "Well, we build a strategy around the Middle East. So we're going to pivot to another area. Where else do you have a market?" And that was a 5-minute phone call. And the next day he got the new updated strategy. But you can't do it with an agency or just like a freelance consultant, because they will say, oh, we need to hold a lot of meetings or we have to research it.
right.
But because most of our clients have been with us for a long time and transitioned into consultancy, we kind of like bounce off each other. And that
Mm,
brainstorming is basically hiring our brain for brainstorming is what they pay us for. And you can't actually exchange it to a ChatGPT bundle or anything else, because you can't buy that relationship.
yeah, absolutely. Now, you brought up an interesting point saying that a business owner can use intentional human imperfection, right, to defeat automated software noise. Explain a little bit what you mean and how that works.
Yes, so basically, when I was looking at the LinkedIn, which is like absolutely full of it, so I can even point out, is it Claude, is it Gemini, is it
Oh, really? Oh,
ChatGPT?
wow.
Yeah, it's like really bad. So the new 360 Brie algorithm is actually penalizing AI words, phrases, and dashes. So it's
Mm,
got like billions of nodes that it's basing like the ranking and visibility on. So you can actually make human imperfection within that. Just don't spell check. Just you don't have to make it look pretty. You don't have to make all the pictures pretty and AI images and graphs and everything. You're going to get banned or shadow banned on
mm,
LinkedIn, because you can't. You've got to be authentic. And if
right.
I'd rather spend, let's say, 5 minutes designing a template on Canva and using that than just telling my strategic marketing assistant on Gemini to create one, because it will look AI, it will look fake, it's no one's going to listen.
Yeah.
And certainly and I'm no designer. So by the way, I always make mistakes. So it's easy for me because I'm not a designer. So if I put together a Canva, it's never
Mm,
going to be aligned properly. And and the bot or the 360 degree is going to see that it is actually human effort went into it. You don't have to be always right, and you don't have to always agree. So that's another human imperfection. You can get angry. I mean, I do sometimes get angry. You can get a little bit frustrated, and you can actually say, I don't understand what you're talking about.
Right.
Because everyone's pretending to understand everything on LinkedIn, remember? So
Right,
you
right.
can actually say, oh, I need you to explain this concept for me. But most people don't do it because they just like have the big image that I know it all.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's the human
absolutely.
imperfection that actually does work with the LinkedIn algorithm because it knows that you're a human. But if you think you know everything, you might as well be Gemini because Gemini thinks he knows everything,
Yeah.
doesn't he?
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny how the typos I consistently make and the spelling errors have turned from being a bug to a feature in my writing
It is
because,
actually, yeah,
right? People know it's not AI because AI definitely doesn't make spelling mistakes the way I do.
yeah. Or it can be like just an extra space or something like that. So just because unfortunately we will have this 360 brief for a long time, and they keep on adding to it. So I'm not saying play the algorithm, just make it obvious that you're a human.
Yes, yes.
That's the difference. It's not a tactic. It's just make it clear that you're acting as a human, not acting as one of your trained bots, because that's when your visibility goes down.
Yeah, I think it's interesting you bring that up because I'm noticing that across many different kinds of content, there's actually skewing more towards people who are authentic, whereas before it was being very polished, very professional, being almost, well, basically fake, not fake from an AI, but just people wanting to filter themselves and everything had to have a certain look. And now people are actually turning more towards people who are just being real, like one person to another. And of course, you want to, put your best foot forward, but putting your best foot forward is different between sort of something that's overproduced, as we might say.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm quite happy about it actually because
Yeah.
I'm once I've got a concept, I don't really care about the details. So if design needs to be done, designer does it. So I'm not going to be like all about
Yeah.
brand, even though it's important. I'm more
Mm.
about substance than the image. So it is a good move for me. But you're absolutely right that there is a massive skepticism within LinkedIn. So if you see a profile that's oh it's glowing, it's beautiful, it's oh they are the top this top that, and they won 5 million awards, and
Right, right.
they went from 0 to 50 million in a week. Oh my God, who's gonna believe it?
Yeah. Well, that's just it. I mean, the kind of things that people used to be able to pass off are now glaringly obvious. So you're sort of better off just being you, right? Sort of you, but a little bit better because after all, we always want to put our best foot forward in a professional environment. But
Yeah,
yeah, I think we're starting to honor people who are real people.
exactly,
Yeah, that's
exactly.
so important. Well, Laura, you've shared so many great insights, and I've totally enjoyed talking with you. I'm going to include the link to where people can connect with you because I think a lot of people are trying to sort out what they're doing on lead gen and on marketing funnels and automations. And you're the go-to person on that.
Oh, thank you so much for saying that.
Yeah, my pleasure. Well, thanks again for joining us on the seat at the table. Thanks for being with us here today on A Seat at the Table. If you'd like to see some of the other episodes, head on over to our podcast website at seat.fm. That's SEAT.fm. There's also a link here in the show notes. And if you're thinking that you'd like to be a guest on the show, you'll find information on how to apply there as well. Thanks again for joining us. I'm Jane Singer, and I will see you in the next episode.